All right, good afternoon and welcome to the first San Jose State football press conference of the 2019 season. It's game week. Spartans will get going here at home inside CEFCU Stadium on Thursday against Northern Colorado. It's a new way of doing things for San Jose State on the radio side. That's your only option for this game. Real Talk, 9:10 a.m. with the coverage this year and the Spartan Radio Network as always. Also, change for the Coach Brennan show as well. It'll still be at the Hukilau this year, starting at 5:30. And a special Tuesday this week for the show at the Hukilau. Also be on Facebook Live through the San Jose State Facebook page as well. Tickets are available for this upcoming game and for every home game here at San Jose State. 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com. That's where you can get all the information about the new tailgate format as well for Spartan football. Let's bring in San Jose State head coach Brent Brennan.
Yeah, all right, okay, here we go. All right, good afternoon. It is good to see everybody. It is football season, and we are fired up. It has been an awesome 8 months of kind of continuing to build our program, getting everybody on the same page. We are really excited to keep most of our coaching staff together and have some continuity, which has been something that has plagued Spartan football over the years. Got a really good group of coaches, teachers, mentors working with our football program. And then it's been a lot of hard work. I think when you see our team, we'll look bigger and stronger and faster than we have in the past. Those young players are starting to mature, which is a lot of fun to see them grow and improve and get better. We continue to make strides off the field, whether that's through our Beyond Football program and events like Walk a Mile in Their Shoes or visiting the Children's Hospital at Stanford or doing our mentor program here in the east side of San Jose. And on top of that, we've had the best academic run that we've had in a long time here. So 52 players finished with a 3.0 or better in the spring semester, and we did a great job in the summer. So I'm really excited about what's going on. 150 years of college football, which is what a deal that is. What a great game. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it and to be a part of this program and to lead these young men. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about the progress we're making. I think those of you that have been out to practice have seen the progress and a lot of good stuff happening out there. And so everyone around here is excited and anxious to play. We're at that point where it's been a lot of practice and a lot of beating up on each other, and everyone's kind of sick of each other. And so we're excited to play, and we're excited to see where we're at. And we're excited to compete, and we've got a good team coming in here in Northern Colorado. And it's interesting, I don't know how much film you guys have all watched, but their quarterback is a fantastic player, very, very good. And he's had some injury stuff in the past, which has slowed down his production on the field, but he's outstanding. They're a football team a little bit like we were a year ago. They lost a bunch of fourth quarter games, and they like to run and hit and play hard, and it's obvious when you watch them. So every game is a challenge for us. We learned a year ago what happens when you're not completely ready for a home opener. And, that's been the challenge this year, is getting us to see enough film, getting us to understand the moment, having the maturity, and understanding the developmental process of our kids. And so I'm excited where we're at. I think it's going to be a great challenge week one, and I can't wait to see what we got. Oh, Mr. Fan wants me to show the helmet. So here's the helmet. With the popularity of Throwback Thursday, we thought we would get in on the game, being that we're here in the heart of Silicon Valley. And I got to believe social media is what made Throwback Thursday a real thing, right? And so our first game we're going a little bit retro with our logo, the Grumpy Man logo here. Mr. Big Cheeks, as Lawrence calls him. And this was our logo in 1948. And then in the mid-'80s, it was trademarked or patented by Michigan State. So if you follow my Twitter feed, I got Michigan State fans giving me the business every which way from here to there. But it's going to be a great night. We've got an agreement with Michigan State to wear the helmet. I'm fired up about it. I think it'll look good. I can't put it on. It's too cinched. But here, I'll give you guys a real look at what it's going to look like. These helmets are different than they were in my day. So I'm ready for this game, as you can tell. and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think the logo is going to be fun and kind of a retro night for our team and our coaching staff. I think you'll like our attire as well. But it's going to be a great night. And school got in session last week. And so we're excited to get our students out there and our fans and alums. And everybody come out there and support us, and let's have a good one.
Hi, Coach.
How you doing?
Good, good. So obviously I've been out there a few times over the last few months,
Yep.
and statement on your comment about the bigger, faster team. Comment on the depth of the team. Seems like there's definitely more depth, and that could probably be called out through the course of the year. But
Yeah, I think so. I think, as you go through kind of a rebuild of a program, anytime there's a staff transition, you're building out the program kind of within the structure and the idea of what the process should look like for the current staff that's in place, right? And so, as you saw in our first 2 years, there were some hard lessons in there where we played a lot of really young players. Lawrence Fan could tell you the exact numbers, but I think season 1 we played 53 freshman, first or second year players. I think season 2 it was 47. I think that's about right. And so it was a lot of developmental time. And so as those guys grow and mature naturally, you go from being 17, 18 to being 19, 20, their bodies change. And for a lot of them, they are, eating better, which is a real challenge for young people. And then they're obviously in a really highly structured strength and conditioning program with Gary Uribe and his staff, over there in the Correct building. So I think when you combine all those things in the process of maturity, you have a chance to have a team that looks better, that stays healthier, that is stronger and more ready for the, for the battle, or more ready for the, kind of the challenges of major college football.
Hey, Coach. There's a solid set of tight ends that will try to fill in the place left by Josh Oliver. Who do you think will stand out in the set?
That's going to be interesting to watch. I think all those guys have a real place to contribute. It's exciting to see Brett Foley, who's a guy, local kid, played down the street at Mitty and was a high school quarterback and was a linebacker when I first got here, and we moved him to tight end. And he started to make a move last fall and play a little bit at tight end, did some nice stuff. And he's really had an outstanding camp. Billy Humphreys has played a lot of football here. He's a big body, can run, can catch, can block. And so he's got a contribution to make. Derek Deese, I think, will be fun because he's a great route runner and pass catcher and does a nice job at the line of scrimmage for someone that was a converted wide receiver. And then, the young guy, Nico Mazzotti, has done some really good stuff in camp. So that's a position group we feel really strongly about. Coach Atkins does a fantastic job coaching them. And I think Kevin McGivern has demonstrated that when we have a tight end that we believe can be effective, we find a way to get him the ball like we did a year ago. And so now we got, 3 and 4 if you count the freshmen. So I think all those guys you're going to see a contribution from all of them game by game.
Hi.
Sorry, my allergy.
So you talked a little bit you touched on this like in your opening, but you were saying how last season you weren't really ready for the first game, and you guys, lost to UC Davis. So talk about like what makes this year. How are you guys getting ready for the first game this year as opposed to last year? Like what's different?
Well, I think when you go to that home opener and as you get closer to the game, you always worry about the physicality of practice. And there's this really fine line between hitting and tackling and blocking enough and being ready and then being safe. And so this year we've been just much more physical in practice, trying to get us ready for what that first game feels like. And so I think that's the biggest difference. And then I think the maturity. I don't know that we were necessarily, I don't feel like we were not ready for that game at Davis. We just played a good team and they beat us in week 1. And I think that's the important thing for our team to understand is that we are playing a good team on Thursday night in week 1, and we need to be ready.
Even though last season was a little disappointing, there were still some bright spots, just like the 3 interceptions that you guys had against UNLV. How do you capitalize on performances like that and create an identity for this team early in the season?
Well, I think, there's some really key points for our football team in terms of, what our mission is for this season. And some of the things that allowed us to be successful in that game, or in the games that we were close but didn't win, were games where we found a way to run the ball. We were better against the run. We made a huge jump a year ago in the turnover margin, which you're speaking to. I feel like if we make another jump in the turnover margin, that'll be a significant thing for us this year, and that's one of our key kind of mission statements for our football team for this season. And then last year we also made a really nice move in the kicking game. I think we finished second in the conference in kind of the total yard differential, and if we can continue to make progress in that space, I think those are things that can really catapult us, moving forward. So we're excited about it.
Coach.
Hi.
Josh Love, he's scheduled to make his, third season opener start for you guys.
Yep.
He's been taken in and out of the starting lineup during his tenure at San Jose State. What about his game this season makes you think that he'll be able to be sustainable in that starting role? And where do you think he's made the biggest jumps and strides in his game during this offseason?
I felt like from his first year, or I guess our first year to his second year, Josh made an incredible jump mentally, and you saw him get to the right people a lot more often with the football. I think we had some challenges protecting him a year ago, which ended up, making that position a little harder to play. What I mentioned a second ago about running the football is something that has to happen in order for us to kind of get into the flow of a game and let Josh get going. But then you also saw him throw for 300, 400 yards in games last year where he was incredibly effective and didn't turn the ball over, which is what I think he can do. This offseason, he's had a great spring. He's had a great fall camp. His decision-making, just the process. I think as you play that position, the more comfortable you get with the scheme. We're in our second year with Coach McGivern, so we have some continuity in the scheme, right? After our first year, we changed coordinators, and so it was a new scheme last year. Now we're in the second year of it with the same quarterback, with a lot of the same pieces, on our offense. So I think that gives us a chance to know what to do, play faster, execute at a higher level. And Josh is the most key component part of that. And he's a senior, and he's just got this great story, right? He walked on, he did it the right way, he's battled, he's been the starter, he's gotten moved down, he's gotten moved back up. And so I think, lots of times the world sees those moments of struggle or of challenge as a negative thing. I think in terms of Josh are real positive because he's fought through that. He's fought through all that adversity and found a way to be the guy and found a way to be a leader for our football team. And I think it's an awesome story.
Coach, a couple things here. So with UC Davis, you guys started slow, but then they snapped out of it. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Oregon, they went in on point. Where's that mentally with the team? Is that the coaches pushing them? Is that from the players? Is it both? I think
it has to be both. And I think in order for us to make the move we want to make as a team, this needs to become a player-led team. And we've made a lot of progress this offseason doing that. The old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's going to be a big thing for us. And seeing this senior leadership, there's a bunch of really good kids in that group. And I'm excited to see them push this team. And, when it's good, continue to kind of stay positive and keep that energy and that enthusiasm in the right place. And when it's hard, for us to stay together and find a way to play better, the tougher it gets. So I think that's going to be fun to see how those guys respond. Josh and Ethan and, some of those, Troy Kowalski and those guys. I'm excited to see them get in and lead our team because they've been through that struggle, right? Well, let's see that growth now.
Coach, I was just wondering what was the reason behind your creative play calling late last season, and will you continue to turn heads with such play calling this season?
I think we'll continue to be aggressive with what we do in terms of our play calling. I think it's really important that our players know we believe in them. We believe they can execute at a high level, and that we can call anything in the playbook and believe we'll get it done. I think as I mentioned a little while ago, being in our second year of this scheme gives us a better chance to execute some of that stuff. And I think Coach McGivern is doing a great job just kind of mixing up, how we're attacking people. Right now we're just going head-to-head with our defense, but I'm excited to see that play out on Thursday night.
Now going to the receivers, you have Gaither back and he's healthy. What kind of contributions do you see him making this season, and how do you think he's going to help the team out just overall?
Well, I think, Bailey's our most explosive guys, or one of our most explosive guys. And so obviously he's a guy we need to get the ball to. As you saw, in years past when he's been healthy, he's been as hard to cover as anybody in the conference. So I think that's really going to be fun. I give him a ton of credit because he had a significant injury a year ago, and he's battled back and he worked his tail off, and we get to fall camp and he's ready, and that's less than a year. And so it's pretty remarkable for that young man to battle through. There's the frustration of the injury, the game that had happened, he was playing at such a high level, right? He was and it was on a huge 55-yard touchdown completion from Josh. And it's so heartbreaking when a kid goes through that. But then to see them battle back and to see him get himself prepared to play this year has been awesome and amazing for him. Like, yeah, I can do this. And so I'm excited to see him play Thursday night because it's just been a really cool thing to see how he's battled through that and been so diligent about the rehab and the work and his consistency and in practice. So it's really good to have Bailey back. God,
With Gaither back and now lining up alongside Walker, how well do you think that pair will be performing this year?
I think those guys are going to make huge contributions. When you combine that with a little more mature offensive line, and then also Josh and his comfort, and then also some effective weapons at the tailback and also at the tight end position. I think that makes that fun. I know I've been a part of a lot of football teams where maybe you just had one guy, and it was easy for defenses to push coverage to them or to scheme that single person and try and take them away. And I think that's going to be hard to do with all those people on the field. And so I'm excited to see what kind of production we can get.
Coach, you mentioned how important it is to get this running game going. Over the last 2 seasons, Tyler Nevins has been your leading rusher. Obviously, last season he missed a whole month with the head injury, I believe it was. What are you expecting from him this season? Obviously, making sure he's available. I'm sure it'll be a big key. But, how much do you think it'll be, or how important do you think it'll be for him to contribute to this running game and give Josh Love a little bit of a backup in that sense?
Well, I think, that's just an absolute point of emphasis for us is finding a way to effectively run the football. And the good news is that group is an exciting group because you mentioned Tyler, but Dejon Packer's back, who's been productive in the past, and then there's some young guys running around doing some stuff there, Brandon Manigo and Kyrie Robinson. So it's a really fun group that I think you're going to see a lot of different guys play and a lot of different guys contribute. And Tyler, because of his production in the past and because of his history, he's definitely one of the guys that needs to be leading the charge.
Just somewhat personally, how does it feel? I mean, I'm assuming you feel like you're under a microscope, and how do you dealing or feeling with the pressure, internalizing it? Or, I mean, is just something just rubs off you, or just curious how you might deal with all the naysayers and whatnot?
I think I can't worry about that stuff. All I can worry about is giving everything I got to these players and to this program every day. And I think I've also been a part of winning teams that people talk trash about. That's always going to be there. Doesn't matter how much you win, how much you lose. There's always going to be somebody that wants to say something. And it's an important lesson really I'm an old man, so it's different for me, but for our players. Right, our players. I've talked about this in the past, right? A guy drops a pass on 3rd down, and 500 people on Twitter are like, "You suck." I'm like, no, you don't suck. You're a good player. You dropped a pass on 3rd down. I'd like you to catch it, but you're not the worst guy on the planet. And that's this new thing that our players have to deal with on this incredible level that guys like me never had to, right? Like back in the day, like they might be writing the paper, one line, Brent Brennan missed a block on this play, and this guy got tackled, the running back got tackled. Now, because of the TV angles are so good, you see so much, and the access the free world has to our players, it's hard. It's really, really challenging because naturally you feel that, right? And they're not old, they're not grown-ups, they're not, they haven't been hardened by the challenges of life yet, and they miss a field goal and 4,000 people hit them on Twitter, you suck, you're a bad guy. Like, no, you're not, you're fine. You're a really good guy. And you just need to play the next play and not let that get to you. And so I think that's, for me, it's not going to matter where we're at. All I care about is our players and this program and getting us to a place where everybody in the South Bay feels great about San Jose State football. And there's always going to be naysayers, so it doesn't matter what I do that way. I'm just focused on us and this here.
Coach, what's the status of a competition between Jay Leonard and Stan Livingstone Jr. for the free safety spot?
You know, I think Jay Leonard over time has established himself as one of our better players on defense. And so Jay is ready to play. He looks great. He had a great offseason and summer. You know, I feel really good about our defense, and especially those two safeties. You know, Trey Webb is definitely one of our leaders. Both those guys have started for 2 years, played a lot of football. So I'm excited to see them play on Thursday night because they both have huge contributions to make, and I think they're two guys that can really lift us up.
Hi. So this is not directly related to San Jose State football, but
Good.
I'm sure.
All right, what we got?
I'm sure you know, like over the weekend, Andrew Luck retired, right?
Right.
Regarding mental health, that sort of stuff, and that's like a big conversation in football. And then you were just saying how these guys are like, you know, not adults yet, and they're being like attacked on Twitter. So like, how as a team do you like, just mental health in general, how you know, help these young, you know, athletes who have so much spotlight on them? Like, how does that work in your?
No, that's a really good question, and you know, first of all, I absolutely support Andrew Luck on his choice. It's his choice, in my opinion. It's his choice to make. You know, I thought some of the reactions were embarrassing and tragic, but you know, what a great player, what a great guy, you know, and you know, his choice is his choice. You know, what's best for him and his family. Total respect. As for our players and dealing with that, we have a lot of conversations here, and just on the mental health thing. And we do a ton of education with our team. We bring in speakers. We throw up funny Twitter messages. I haven't shown them the Twitter messages I was getting about the Montana State logo thing. They would laugh for an hour on that. You know, like, you know, it's just that kind of stuff. And so trying to get them to block out that noise and actually Andrew Luck is a great example. That kind of speaks to what I was saying, right? Like, all of a sudden there's a bunch of people mad at him. All of a sudden people are attacking him personally on Twitter because he chose to retire, because he had real personal issues. Like, that's a really serious thing. And it's his choice to make, and all these people have access to him and have a platform to put that out there. Makes it really challenging, right? Now, he's obviously a smart guy, and he's a mature guy, and he's got big shoulders, and he can handle that. If he was 17, 18, that'd be a much different thing. And so we have a lot of time, and we work with, you know, on campus with our student health center for those kind of issues. But I think it's pretty, I would say, in talking to other head coaches, and I know talking to our athletic director and other ADs, lots of people are talking about the mental health issue on campuses nationwide. It's not specific to San Jose State. It's not specific to the game of football. It's cross-platform. It's everybody is seeing a huge uptick in issues of mental health. And I think one of the good things that's happening, and which is relatively new, is that there's a much heightened awareness to it and a much more acceptability of people talking about dealing with it. And so I think it's awesome when you know, us as a university or us as a program can have resources for people to work through those issues. And we're working hard at finding more ways to continue to develop more and more resources for our players and for all the student athletes and for the students on campus here, because it's such an important thing facing society right now with this young generation that we're coaching.
In fall camp, which players have made the biggest progression in their game or have surprised you the most?
Whew, that's a good question. Let's see. I've seen some really good stuff from our defensive front. You know, there's some young players in there, but there's some real talent in there. With you know, Junior Fehoko and Cade Hall, and you know, because losing Bryson and Boogie, you know, those were two really good players for us last year. But now we have these young guys that played some last year, Christian Johnson, EJ Ane, that I think we're going to be really excited about. We're getting really consistent play right now from the veterans at linebacker, Ethan Aguayo, Jesse Asuna, those guys are, there's some young players in there mixing in. Jordan Cobbs is doing a nice job, true freshman from up the street, and Kyle Harmon. So, but it's those guys in the defensive front line that have shown some real stuff. Demi Sakalia, it's been, and then there's some older guys kind of stepping their game up too. So I think we're going to be excited about that defensive front when we start playing real football. But that would be the group where I'm watching that in practice. I'm like, oh, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Coach, earlier you mentioned the continuity within the coaching staff. Something you guys, challenge you guys have faced, has been the youth on the roster. This year you guys have, I believe, 40 upperclassmen on this roster. How encouraging is that for you to have some, veteran older players kind of take the reins and, lead these younger guys on this team? How encouraging is that for you?
I think it's huge, and I think the senior class is doing a nice job. Truthfully, it's not a big senior class. A lot of those upperclassmen are still third-year players, and so they're still relatively young, but they've been with us the whole time, and they understand what kind of program we're trying to build and kind of have a great understanding of our holistic approach to this thing, developing young men academically, athletically, socially. And so there seems to be a bigger buy-in factor, and the upperclassmen, those guys are the ones pushing it and driving it. So it's been an awesome month because we're all back together finally and kind of putting the team and just getting to see how we interact. And I would bet if you asked a player, like all of them would say it just feels different. It's just a new team, and we have a new story to write, and we can't wait to get going. All right, thank you. Good seeing y'all. Spartan up. Let's go. See you Thursday night.
All right, with that, San Jose State kicks off the 2019 season at home Thursday against Northern Colorado. Tickets available at 408-924-7589 or sjsuspartans.com. And if you can't make it out, tune into the Spartan Radio Network with the new flagship station, 9:10 a.m. Real Talk. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.